That's not going to help you, man. It's time to get real with God. I mean, you're depending on the alcohol is taking God's place at this point. Alcohol is a very powerful drug. People got to know that. It's a depressant. And that's the last thing this guy needs. I mean, he told me a story of how he lied down on the railroad tracks and he got busted for it or something. I mean, the guy's for real. He was desperate. And, I don't know that I can really get through to the guy to tell him, to encourage him enough and comfort him enough and give him a will to live. I don't have, that's God's domain. God's a jealous God. He doesn't want this guy expecting too much from me, or for me to expect I can save the guy's soul, save his life. I mean, he's got to want to live. He's got kids. Even if you don't care about your own life, brother, I mean, care about your kids. Okay, they want you to live. Okay, so someday when you make the right decision, you decide not to kill yourself, you'll be able to say, you know why, son, daughter? You're the reason that kept me going. You're why. Because I said, you know what? If it was just me and I didn't have you, I would have killed myself. But I did it for you. So it's an unselfish reason. Good, beautiful. He'll be rewarded for that unselfish reason. But anyhow, I got off on a tangent there talking about this guy yesterday, and it's tough. But I felt like, you know what? God's talking to me. He's saying, this is something that I want you to deal with. I mean, it came out of nowhere. I wasn't looking for it, but something. Sometimes you got to walk the talk, and I think that's what God was showing me, that I get out of my comfort zone, and you get rewarded for it. I mean, God has His way. It doesn't seem like it. How could this be rewarding at all? But at least I tried. I told the guy, look, I love you, brother. I mean it too. But, I mean, if you're not telling me you're doing meth or something, I mean, because we shared some stories, because, I found out this guy that, hacked up his sister, according to him. I don't know if any of this is true. If the guy is deranged or delusional or on drugs, I don't know. I mean, but he did cry his eyes out, so I think he's seriously emotionally disturbed. But nevertheless, I've got to embrace him as my own son. And I've got to do something. I've got to listen to him. But, this meth, if he's doing meth, man, I want nothing to do with it. You got to watch your back around people on that drug. I mean, I'll never forget the story I shared with him. We shared a lot of stories back and forth. So he got to hear some of my stuff, too, and he had a pretty good ear, too, and he was hearing it. He was acknowledging it and saying, hey, this guy's been through some stuff, too, from a very early age. I mean, I've had PTSD, I was telling him, since I was 9 years old on my dad's sailboat in the English Channel. I'll never forget, him and Timothy. He had a crewmate, Timothy. He wore a patch over one eye, just like the quintessential image of a pirate. Beard and all this, and they were up there. They'd been drinking this little 25-foot sloop, little sailboat, right, on the English, bobbing around like a cork, man. I mean, and the sea never gets more turbulent anywhere I've been to in the world sailing than in the English Channel. And it was bobbing us around like a cork, man. I was down below in the cabin, and I was just dry heaving, 9 years old. I was certain we were going to die. I mean, Timothy was saying, what did you get us into? We're all going to die out here now. They're yelling at each other. My dad's yelling back at him, and they're drunk. I'm dry heaving. I was sure I was dead, man. We were dying. I mean, these guys had a few years on them. I didn't. I had 9 years on me. I was a little boy. So I've had PTSD my whole freaking life. Not to mention, I strongly suspect I've been damaged by vaccines, and I've got at least some degree, I fall in some degree of that autism spectrum disorder. Probably light Asperger's, but I can get arrogant. I can get self-righteous, and I don't like it. So why would I do it? Why would anybody choose a personality attribute that they consciously admit, do not want, do not like, see no value in it? It's to no avail, no profit, only the contrary, but yet I engage in it. That's what leads me to believe. I probably had tomorrow, we're doing a telephone interview with this lady. I guess she's a psychiatrist. Tomorrow I've got an appointment. But, they called me back because of this coronavirus thing, so I'm not going into the facility to talk to her face-to-face, but I'm going to get a call, and she's going to talk to me, and I guess some kind of test to see if I've got this. But I've got plenty of my own issues, and I'm just as human and weak and fallible as every other human out there. I'm the same. I got all that stuff going. So when I'm trying to talk to this guy and tell him, what's what, he's telling me these horrific stories like something out of Dateline or Forensic Files or Crime Files or something. One of these real true crime stories. I mean, it sounds like that. I mean, but, when somebody's on meth, but I'll never forget the story of this guy. He cut off the head of his 14-year-old son. The guy was on methamphetamine. I mean, so the worst part of this drug is not that it destroys your physical health in short order. The worst part is it destroys your mental, psychological, spiritual health. And it damages everybody around you. Through osmosis, we're all getting it. I mean, this is a miserable drug, and we all need to ask what is driving people to these drugs, because they want to escape. They see the walls closing in on them. America's been on a downhill slide since the assassination of JFK. Capitalism. He was a capitalist, for God's sake. He was a good American. He was an egalitarian. And if you don't know the word, for God's sake, look it up. See, there's the arrogance. I'm sorry. But I meet more people that don't even know the meaning of the word, as if it's a pejorative. Egalitarian, Eagles, America, Warhawk, warmonger. They don't have no idea, but that's what the word sounds like to them. No, the only synonym for egalitarian is equalitarian. I think that people get, okay, I get it now. You believe in equality, yes. So anytime you're an egalitarian, by default position, you are anti-racist. You are not a racist. You are not even a nationalist. I can say, I'm lucky I was born in America. I feel lucky I was born in America. I was cut out to be an American. Look at me, I'm outspoken. I want fixes. I'll dissent and give constructive criticism because I love my country, because I am patriotic and I care about it. Absolutely. Like, I don't understand this coronavirus with all the other viruses out there. And most people that get it are fine. Like a common cold or something. They're not telling us, every time they tell us the death rate of coronavirus, they're not telling us what the death rate of the generic influenza is, which they've got a vaccine for. 36,000 people. Last time I Googled it, 36,000 people every year die in America from regular flu with a vaccine. But I'm to be all freaked out about getting this one. Take a handful of cod liver oil tablets, my friends. I've been taking oil of oregano a little bit. I mean, this kind of stuff, you got to do your own research. Talk to your doctor, okay, and see if it's safe for you to take a handful of cod liver oil. I'd be really surprised if they say it's not, okay, because this is like an ancient, well-known medicine, natural medicine. So anyhow, I've also been taking some zinc tablets, and that's probably good too. And of course, you want to make sure you're getting vitamin C. Everybody knows about vitamin C. Probably some B complex wouldn't hurt. But that's the kind of stuff. Lots of water. I mean, you could drink pure lemon juice, just squeeze a lemon and go. I mean, this is very healthy stuff. You bioflavonoids, all that. I mean, I don't do it regularly. I haven't done it for years, but there's other things I do to be proactive and think of my body. You got to. How about apple cider vinegar with the mother? Organic apple cider vinegar. Okay? Get your pH balanced, your potential hydrogen. It's a good thing. Keep your body in check. You got to take some steps, especially if you like junk food like me. You've got to know your body like a machine, and you got to take steps to mitigate the harmful substances, the toxic substances you put on, just like your car. Okay, if you've got gas, the gas companies sell inferior grade fuel to us, and then our engines don't last as long as they would with superior fuel, cleaner fuel. So you've got to mitigate the harm, the damage, by putting in a fuel cleaner, because it damages more than just like your spark plugs or your fuel injectors or your catalytic converter, everything, the oxygen sensor, everything is affected by it. The valves, the combustion chamber. I mean, you look into it. Any reputable repair manual will tell you to do the same thing. So some people, it's a wives' tale. No, you don't need to use fuel cleaner. That's just made up to sell stuff. No, I mean, it's true. It's just a fact. I think it's a quid pro quo, scratching each other's back. That the auto companies keep making gas guzzlers, and the gasoline companies, the oil companies, keep making dirty gas so that the engines wear out. Because otherwise people are getting 500,000, 1,000,000 miles on their engine. They can't have that. But if you change your oil enough, you can expect that if you take care of your vehicle and don't push it beyond its limits. You've got to know what your vehicle can do and what it can't do. But yeah, you can run them too hard and damage them, especially the smaller ones. But any of them can be beat up enough. You just can't rev them up high all the time. You've got to understand that it is something that has a degree of wear, no matter how fresh your oil is or how good your fuel system is working. You still got to take care of it. So the body is the same thing. It's a machine. So when people talk about death and all this, remember, it's a machine. God can as easily give you a new body as he gave you the one you have, and that's the plan. In Scripture, Jesus talks about the renewal of all things and the resurrection of the dead. I mean, the mortal meets the immortal. Okay, that's what happens. That's the promise. You're going to get a body that's infinitely better. And we're not going to have to live in a crap hole forever. It's going to be a place where it's perfect. All the organic suffering's gone, and all the inorganic suffering's gone. As far as east is from the west, that's all forms of money. Money is the root of understanding, okay, why we have all the evil. We cannot resist it. We love money. God knows it. Okay, that power is it's too alluring, too enticing. Okay, it's irresistible. We all know it. Everybody's got to admit we love money. Why? Because it's a sense of security. It's a sense of freedom. It's peace of mind. Everything, right? We buying stuff. It's material stuff. It's everything. Everything. It's survival. I mean, of course we love it. God knows we love it. But we should need it. We can wean ourselves off it by it going up in worth. I just did the math on how much gold, if we divided up all the gold that exists at this point in history on the face of the earth, which is increasing all the time. But what I came up with, to the best of what I could figure out, was about half an ounce. 1/2 an ounce of gold, which is worth, I don't know, in dollars, I guess it's probably about $800. I don't know. I don't pay that close attention. It's changing all the time. But that's all that we would all possess. But you see, that's still something you can see. So if we double the population, you could say, well, then we'd only have a quarter, would all be less rich. But you see, if that gold keeps increasing in worth, like people talk about Bitcoin, or if it was happening with the dollar, okay, that's what should happen under capitalism, because capitalism involves supply and demand. Do you understand? So if we do a really good job as a so-called civilized society, and we find easier and easier methods of producing all the things we want and need, which we've done, okay, we've got it down to a science. I mean, we're at the height of the industrial age now. We can manufacture houses. We got machines that can build block houses. Go look. I mean, look it up yourself. I'm not making anything up. So this idea that we can't all have 10 or 15, 20 houses scattered throughout the planet is nonsense. And remember, you can only be in one place at one time. Okay? We can have a superfluity, an excess, an abundance of everything we want and need. Everything. And it has nothing to do with money. We're rich. It has nothing to do with money. Do you understand? We could wean ourselves off it. And the way to do that is by whatever money, currency we're using in society, it gradually increases in worth. And I've explained why, supply and demand. Because as we all know, there's a thing called competition involved in capitalism, okay, in free markets. And it's a very natural, organic process, okay? If you don't interfere, your money goes up in worth. Do you understand how we could wean ourselves off it completely? So everybody had 1/2 an ounce of gold on Earth. And that gold just kept going up in worth. You were cutting off itty-bitty chunks to give for this or that or the next thing for a while, playing the game. Because essentially that's all it is. We don't need money any more than any other creature on the face of the earth needs money. Do you see what a departure that is from what we've got? But we got to get to that state. If we're going to have heaven on earth, which is what's going to happen, not if we're going to have it, but when we're going to have it, when God's will is finally accomplished upon the earth, that's the way it's going to be. And there's not going to be any form of money. It's a turd in the punch bowl. That's what it is. All it does, look through history, what it's done. Look what it's done. People cannot handle it. We've proven over and over and over. So, I wanted the theme today to be basically what the evildoers are dreading the most at this point in history. And this point in history is, of course, unique, as is every other particular point in history.